Into the Nexus is a production of amove.tv. Bookmark Amove TV for other great video games and esports podcasts. Into the Nexus is sponsored by listeners like you via patreon.com/ITN. Welcome back for the second day in a row, everyone. This is Into the Nexus, the podcast about Heroes of the Storm, and this is our Patron Hangout, which means some folks will be calling in. We'll be also answering questions that are left over on our Patreon, and we'll probably be having fun, and also that we're doing a show on Friday, which apparently means there's breaking news in the world of Heroes of the Storm. Anyways, hi, I'm Garrett Weinzierl. He's Kyle Fergusson. How you doing, Kyle?
I'm doing well.
Doing okay? Just well?
I am a little sad that it's not going to be Studkoff, but this wall riding thing's pretty neat.
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, let's face it. We need another supportist. I don't think Studkoff is going to be supporting anybody. I guess he could be throwing hats on people. I don't know.
Right, infesting them or something like that. We all got a little excited about seeing those infested marine eggs sitting in the Where's Waldo Valera, but just looking at the base kit for Lucio, it's looking like kind of a bright wing. And then we saw in the video him jump on the wall for a second. I'm like, that has to be one of the most complex things that have ever happened in a MOBA. I hope it's actually useful. And it is. It's 20% movement speed along impassable terrain.
Yes, and you also get to walk through other units while you're doing the wall ride.
Them.
So this is his trait. Which is pretty flippin' cool. I'm very anxious to see. Actually, I feel like we should take a very quick break. If you're watching live and you're a patron and you want to call in, drop us a message right now, and we'll be pulling you in quickly. But we're going to talk about Lucio just a little bit before we get in. These shows always go a little short anyway. Yeah, you have to think that when this came up in the meeting, right? They're like, well, can we work in wall ride? Like, I'm sitting here as a player going, are there enough impassable walls on all of the battlegrounds to make Lucio worth it?
I just got to think to myself, too, like, whenever I see someone die and their weapon flies out of their hand, that already just blows my mind from whatever technical aspect they put into this game to make that happen. I don't know if the character technically disappears and then they spawn a weapon and the body to fly in separate directions. This wall riding thing, though, is really neat. It's gotta be tough to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm anxious to see it on some trees and see how weird it looks.
Yeah. I wonder if those count. They should. I guess he'll be skating along those. That's a good point. It's a little strange. Maybe Tarzan vine riding, like that Disney movie had.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, even including that, it's pretty much what you would expect from Lucio. Much like Tracer and Zarya before him, they've done it seems, fantastic job bringing his existing kit from Overwatch and just making it work in Heroes of the Storm. He's got Soundwave on Q, Crossfade on W, Amp It Up on E. I haven't taken a look at his heroic abilities. This is all flying at us kind of at the speed of sound. Get it? Yeah. But so one is sound barrier, which makes sense. After 1 second, Lucio and nearby allies gain a massive shield that rapidly decays over the next 6 seconds. Okay, that's what I expect. But there's an option. There's a second one called reverse amp, where you blast Lucio's crossfade track at enemy heroes for 4 seconds, causing healing boosts to inflict damage every second and speed boosts to slow movement speed by 45%. And then there's also a passive on reverse amp that increases Amp It Up's duration to 4 seconds.
I wonder how bright-wingy he's going to be, because this is looking like area effect heals. Surely you'll want maybe double tank to take advantage of it. It doesn't look like there's much of a mana bar here, which would make sense as they've kind of been avoiding that on the Overwatch heroes in the first place. So his limiting factors will really be his output and what sort of team you can build with him.
Yeah. I mean, Sound Barrier sounds great. It's really strong in Overwatch. I expect it to be strong in Heroes, but Reverse Amp sounds kind of nuts, and especially when I think that it's tied to your E ability. It's tied to Amp It Up. Don't know what the cooldown is yet on Amp It Up, but that's going to be kind of crazy. That sounds a little insane to me.
There's a level 20 augment for the reverse amp, the one that does damage and slows, that as long as it's affecting 2 heroes, it has infinite duration.
Wow. Okay.
And if you take that 20% movement speed while wall riding, which I don't know if that means you sort of jump up on the wall and gravity pulls you down, or if you could really just kind of like you're in the little pagoda objective area, just kind of jump, and just do the spiral forever if the walls are right for you.
All right. Yeah, that's okay. I could see that. But yeah, overall I'm excited. I know you're not like the largest Overwatch fan in the world, but where does Lucio fall on your hype levels, Kyle?
on my need in the Nexus levels, extremely low. But he looks like he might be fulfilling a sort of off Brightwing with his own flavors to it, and that is very much needed.
Yeah, and I can look at his kit, and at least right now, I'm not concerned about Brightwing looking kind of old and dusty once Lucio hits the field, because he's not bringing a polymorph, and he's not bringing global presence along with him. He'll be able to move around a little quicker because of his wall ride ability, but not like Brightwing can just teleport to someone, and he's not going to be turning anyone into sheep. So,
and the shields will be on a heroic as well, so seems all good and healthy. And welcome to the Nexus Lucio, which I guess would be not this next Tuesday, but the Tuesday after it, if we're sticking to the 3-week schedule.
Makes sense. I wouldn't mind if that schedule got a little longer.
It's fast right now for sure, and we can expect a number of changes to come with Lucio as well. I wonder if healers will be bumped around to sort of make his kit more unique, which is something they've done in the past, affecting other healers' outputs, just like they affect the stun durations when other heroes are coming out. We still know there's a Murky rework. We still know there is a Leoric Synergy build for Skeletal Swing coming out.
Ooh, yeah, that's cool. I bet you're excited about that.
Very, very, because if Leoric gets enough lane clear on his kit, he could be used in a lot of different situations than what he's used right now, which is kind of the off-tank buster, which can fall a little flat.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, shall we take some calls?
Let's do that.
All right. And again, reminding you live listeners, if you want to call in, shoot a message to the super secret Into the Nexus Skype account right now. But let's get a little Master DS action in here, which looks like he's outside already. So we might not get our classic ITN patron call in hallway run.
Hey, how you doing?
You're doing all right. What's up with you, DS?
Well, the Lucio is exciting.
I was about to say, you're like every time you call in, you almost always talk about an Overwatch hero.
Yeah.
So I can only assume that you're happy about this.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked when I watched the video, and I was just expecting, Stukov to show up, and then Lucio's symbol showed up. I was like, what? Oh my god!
It was a cute reveal. I really liked it.
Yeah, I like that it wasn't like hinted or anything. This is like the first hero in the wild we had no idea about because it wasn't leaked. They didn't hint it at all. It just video, bam, there it is.
Yep.
And
Enjoy.
it's Lucio.
Enjoy the frog
logo.
logo.
Relaxing.
Yeah.
It was just a really good surprise. Also, one thing to mention that I think is really cool on his kit, he has a ward that's a boombox that he can put down, and the boombox is permanent. And I guess I don't know if it has vision, but what it does do is it has your healing and your speeding. So if you're like in another lane, you can put your heal down and leave it for someone else with your boombox.
Oh wow!
Oh, that's awesome. That's really freaking cool. I hope it plays Beastie Boys when you put it down.
Yeah, I was gonna talk to you about like Overwatch heroes of the classes that you can do for Overwatch heroes, because like now we have an assassin, we have a tank, and we're getting a support. I was wondering what sort of specialists we could be looking for from Overwatch. To name two, I was thinking you could do like Torbjorn, obviously, because he has a turret.
Yeah.
Do it like a sort of like a Gaslow, but he only has one turret and it's bigger and beefier.
Yeah,
so like
and he can upgrade
Gaslow
it.
times Misha.
Actually, yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
And I had
That's
an
a good
idea
pitch.
for this kit that goes a little something like this. Like you have like put Uther's like stun on him, but he can also use that stun on his turret instead to upgrade it. So it's like there's a tension between like, oh, can I use a stun? Can we use a stun, or should I repair my turret or upgrade my turret?
Well, that's cool.
I think that'd
Having
be
it,
interesting.
yeah, having a dual use ability that obviously will
Yeah.
invoke a cooldown, so you have to make a decision. You know, what is
Yeah.
worth more.
Or maybe it's
Yeah.
like a slow or a mini stun. You know, maybe not a full stun.
Yeah.
Well, you got your armor, which is now armor in the game, and I would love armor
And a
over
shotgun
here.
blast.
Yeah, maybe a pushback on that guy would be an easy sort of,
Yeah.
maybe not direct from Overwatch, but a way to work in a little tiny bit of CC into him.
Yeah, and it also like would help push them into your turret zone, which along with a slow would be really good if you did a slow like I suggested or a stun.
I love the idea of there being a Torbjorn turret in full view, but Torbjorn
Yeah.
hiding in a bush for someone to move past him so he can walk behind them and push them into his turret.
Yeah,
That's-
another thing an idea I had for him was like, you know how in Overwatch you put your turret on the payload? That needs to be an ultimate payload, and you can move your turret.
He gets a
Oh
little
God,
car.
you're right. That'd be really actually yeah. You make the killdozer.
But it's slow, and you can only move it when you're near it or an ally's near it. That'd be the thing. That'd be hilarious.
I like that
Maybe it heals you too.
you pick a
Like
lane.
in Overwatch.
Yeah, you pick a lane like Ragnaros' lava wave, but that's the lane that the payload travels with Torbjorn's turret on top,
Oh,
and
yeah,
you as a
yeah.
team
That's
stand next
another
to it.
thing. That's another way you could do it.
I
The
like
other one
that.
I was thinking of is Sombra, who could be like half Sylvanas, half Valera. You know, like be that disabler hero, but maybe like in a more of a wave pushy way than in a single hero delete way. And also have that stealth that that Valera has as well.
Yeah.
Similar to that.
After we were talking about
wouldn't-
EMP last night, I'm really rooting for Sombra now more than ever. I think.
Yeah, it'd be cool to have a specialist that's stealthed. I think.
Well,
No,
and
I agree.
to sort of take a little bit of power away from Sylvanas, when she's banned out, that option's gone. You know, now we have that auto attack kind of meta I was talking about last night, where you just go, oh, I'll just take one of the other three. But it would be nice to have a different flavor. I mean, Sombra doesn't affect any lane minions, but able to turn off buildings.
What other specialists would you be looking for? I mean, I
mean,
don't
from
know
over-
if Junkrat would be in a specialist, but
He could be. I mean, I think it
could be. He has.
I think
Slash,
Junkrat
for
and
sure.
Junkrat and Symmetra, I think, could go into the specialist role.
Have I ever told you my idea for Junkrat?
No.
It goes like this. He doesn't have an auto attack. All his shots are skill shots.
Makes
So
sense.
you have to aim everyone, and if you miss, it just explodes on its own, just like in the game. Or maybe he's a melee hero, right? Maybe he has an auto attack at close range, but, he's not really a melee hero. His Q is what it's all about, firing off those grenades. That would be fun. An all auto attack, an all spell hero.
Lucio has opened my eyes to what they can do to interact with walls. One of the big interactions in Dota was interacting with trees and being able to destroy them with different spells and make new pathing,
so
which
you
is
think,
something
like-
that doesn't exist.
You think it could be like with Junkrat at least? You could like bounce things off walls. That'd be
Sure.
cool.
Yeah, why not? And why can't we attach turrets for Symmetra for walls? I mean, clearly this system is a little more advanced than we may have thought in the first place.
If you had like the mine from Junkrat, could you use that to jump over a wall?
That'd be awesome.
man.
And why not?
Yeah, that
Apparently
would
the
be
tech
so good.
exists. If Lucio can ride walls, then Deathwing can one day climb on top of buildings and climb over them.
And like
That-
the fire, if it'd be great if you could fire your skill shots while in midair with Junkrat, because that's how you do. Or like they had extra range too. That'd be so good. Shit.
Well,
Oh,
you
my
got
God,
the
sorry.
real important one is to make sure that you can taunt while midair. I mean, that's what it's about.
Oh yeah, That's perfect. Yeah, need that. Any other ideas for specialists, at least, of the 23 heroes?
But
The 23 heroes in Overwatch?
I mean, mine's cynical at the moment. Mine would be, hey, can we get a meta where specialists are worth a damn? That would be nice. That's what I would really like more than more specialists would just be, hey, can specialists matter again, please? Thank you.
So, not really. Let's see. Let's think of the heroes. So, not Genji. Genji would be an assassin. Hanzo or Widowmaker? Would either of them be a specialist? Maybe Hanzo. What do you think?
I think he's still an assassin.
I think Hanzo could be a great amount of fun if they do a sort of hold down your mouse to prepare the arrow thing, and just line those shot ups like Windrunner was in Dota.
So like Chromie, but slower.
Yeah, and the longer you gauge the shot, the more damage it'll do.
And you have the different types of arrows too. So would it be like Q is always fire an arrow, and W either puts an arrow, and like WE puts either your spread shot or your sonar arrows into your Q?
Right, it'd be hilariously easy to make Hanzo one of the most boring kits in the world.
But what if you like had talents that added different types of arrows? Like, oh, you have a like a fire arrow on one and a something else on two, right? Like a ice arrow. This fruits them if you hit.
Oh, totally. So, yeah, you could run with that. I mean, just go full Hawkeye with it, with the little hand buzzer thing that he uses to switch around his little arrow attachments.
Yeah, it could totally be the Hawkeye arrow where you just have like you're talenting into like 15 different types of arrows. Okay, I need this one, and I'm gonna hit him with this. Then I'm gonna hit him with that one, and then they're gonna be silenced with this one because it silences them. I guess you have a silence arrow that's different from Sylvanas' silence arrow because it's not AoE. And it's like, oh, you can do like that whole thing, Hawkeye. That'd be cool.
And you get 20% more damage for the whole match if you pick Hanzo instead of a support at the end.
God.
Nope.
Yes, people would do that.
Nope.
Overwatch players that play Hanzo definitely want to play Hanzo. Is a problem. So when they're drawn into heroes, they're gonna play Hanzo no matter what.
Of course. Why wouldn't
We're gonna see a lot of Hanzo. I really hope, by the way, that we get Hanzo and his brother. I want both of them, and I want them to have the same talent, just like in Overwatch. Because,
as long as my Genji can run into the corner and just start running up the wall, panicking until my cooldown for my reflect is done. That's my strategy.
Yeah. I'd have to imagine that they can both climb over walls.
Yeah.
Like Lucio, like how Lucio does with walls, except over them.
And that's the day Falstad truly is gone forever.
Well, he can fly. He could go like
he can fly, but the real power on his kit to me is being able to jump over those walls. And if two characters can do it passively, my brief and very sad affair with Falstad will finally come to a close.
How many characters can do it like not passively but nearly passively, like with basic abilities? Karazim, if you put down like one of his little guys,
sure,
you can do that.
You got
or if there's a guy on the other side.
Level 4 ETC talent that everyone's doing these days.
Level 4 ETC.
A crowd surfer.
Mm-hmm.
Like a bunch. It's and like Li Ming, but that's probably not long enough.
Yeah, it's only certain walls until you can get that level 13 in.
Yeah. There's other teleporters, aren't there?
It's a very powerful tool.
Medivh, but he's special in his own way.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Thanks for calling in, DS.
Yeah. Good talk.
Have a good one.
For Lucio.
I can't either.
Exciting.
I'm excited.
You know what
I love AoE healing.
Yeah, it gives its own flavor, and it really enables other picks. And we don't know what Lucio's damage is going to be like. That's the other thing. I constantly think of our Zarya talk where we're all going, what the heck is this character for? Oh, she does damage. Okay.
Yep. Well, Caleb has joined the call now. Can you hear us, Caleb?
Yes, I can. Everything working out?
It is.
Okay, cool. So yeah, Muffin Pickle to do a reset, and I'll find my question list here. Groovy.
You have a list? Oh, goodness gracious me.
Ooh.
Ideally, it'll make me less nervous. We'll see if that pans out. So first, have you guys been playing your Smurfs lately? I remember that used to be a thing. Everyone had their Smurfs, were rocking around. You had a secondary stream, but now it seems like everybody's pretty much content to just kind of roll on your primary.
With Hero League going solo queue only, no more Smurfs.
Yeah, and also Heroes releasing every 3 weeks reliably. It's that Smurf account gets left in the dust very quickly.
Less a lack of interest and more just no time with everything else going on to maintain.
Yeah, that
Definitely.
and also it gets rather expensive rather quickly with all the new heroes.
Yeah, but it is something I think about a lot. One of our after show participants, friend of the show, Twammy, they had to give up their main account because they couldn't progress and they were falling down in Diamond, and even on their Smurf, which has a beautiful above 3,000 MMR, gets to play with the pros all the time, is still struggling to break Diamond 3 as well. But there are those tricks and things you can do to get an extremely high MMR from the get-go. And that is always distressing, and anytime I have just a complete clown of a game, I start thinking about maybe my experience would be better. It's a tough grass is greener, so I've just sort of closed my eyes to it.
And something that came up that probably no one else will care about, we now have Vala, who's a demon hunter, and we also have Valera, who has a demon hunter skin. Do you think they get confused talking to each other since they're two drastically different demon hunters?
And don't forget Illidan.
No, right, Illidan.
Indeed.
Yeah, but Illidan's cheating because he's a demon hunter who got a bunch of demon powers. But wait, Vala has demon power. I guess I don't know enough about that.
Yeah.
I'm guessing at some point both of them drank or ate something they shouldn't have.
I don't
I'm
know.
pretty sure that's what they said in the intro movie.
I don't know my Diablo Demon Hunter lore all that well, so can't. I remember something about her family being killed by demons, and that's why she hunts them.
Something. A young girl in the town's on fire, and some found a cult, and
Yep. As to how they function, I don't know. And I did just pull up their wiki page, but it's way too long to get a grasp of during a live recording. So there we go. I don't know my Diablo lore all that well, folks. I don't know it. Sorry.
Well, it's so weird. Most people don't seem to play that game for lore, almost as though 90% is just loot.
Yeah, absolutely.
that's true.
That's pretty true of all Blizzard games, though.
I'm actually... It's always awkward whenever I start a new instance in Warcraft, because I'm definitely not a cutscene skipper, especially on first run of instances, and then finally you finish it and have no idea where the rest of your group is.
Yes. No, I'm the same. If it's my first time in a dungeon, absolutely. I'm on the same page as you, sir. That's the way you do it. You got to see what's happening.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
you make
I'm
time.
a healer, right? So when I'm not in the group, they all die and then get really angry. I feel like if I was a DPS, it'd be a bit more subtle if I show up in the middle of combat.
It would be a bit more subtle. But you know what I say? You saw where I was on the minimap. Stop going ahead. Stop going ahead.
Also,
Ooh,
I make
wonderful.
sure I get into WoW expansions on release so that I can have that experience. And I want that kind of unknown. I don't want to see the back way by jumping up 2 rocks that people have discovered. And we avoid the whole beautiful bridge with the trash mobs upon it.
Agreed.
Yeah. And one last thing, Kyle played any D&D or any such things lately, or is it mostly just being stream?
It's been a lot of stream. I tried over the holidays to run and successfully. It was a lot of fun. We just ran a really quick 3.5 campaign, and it's just not the same. I can't live it if it's not in the same room. Digital tabletop, just you can't connect. It's a little hippy dippy like energy in the room, but so much of what D&D is just throwing stuff at a wall until something sticks. And and that's the point, is you just kind of go, no one cared about that shop, no one cared about that boss. That's fine. But every once in a while you'll have something, and then a character's eyes will light up. And you can go, yes, and you grab onto them, and you seduce that character to the dark side and give them evil spells from the Book of Vile Darkness. I'm very much love having evil characters hidden amongst the group as agents. And doing that online, take off your headphones. It's not the same as saying, let's go to another room here while everyone else eats all my Cheetos.
I've definitely tried groups in both ways. Right now I'm in a live room, and they're definitely very hesitant to add online people, even though we had some of our group members go to Vancouver, so a province away. And it definitely, for me, as much as anything, when I was doing online only, my mind wanders so much that when we're not in the room and there isn't the physicality to it, it's almost impossible to stay in the moment.
Well, and when I'm sleepy, I still type FA into my search bar for Facebook. And I haven't used Facebook since college. I quit it soon afterwards just because it was getting ridiculous. But still, like our autopilots sitting at our computers, like I can't even play a Hearthstone game without immediately jumping over to Reddit. And I'm trying to relax. I'm trying not to get any news in my life. But it's what you do. So you sit down for a digital tabletop game, and you can't stop people. And if I'm talking to two other people, or I've got Sly Flourish Rogue dude who really we all have one of these guys that just needs to debate everything that he's about to do. And you're like, dude, it's just a basic attack. It's like, well, no, I have this odd spell and this artifact I might use. And if I was a player in that situation, I'd take to online. I'd head over to Reddit.
For me, it's generally mages who go meta magic kind of stuff. Like, what happens if I use levitating hand on this ball of lava over here, etc., etc.
Well, and druids with their just ridiculously huge spell. And then, of course, my druid bought the spell compendium, which meant he had even more spells. And then they get animal form, so they might want to cast their spells while they're pretending to be a giraffe. Like, it just takes so long.
But to be fair, if you could pretend to be a giraffe, wouldn't you?
While casting fireballs, maximized? Yes, of course I would.
That's just fact.
That's basic. That's D&D 101.
I've played some pen and paper role-playing games in the last few months. We've gotten back into Edge of the Empire.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So you're campaigning officially?
Officially, but we haven't had a second follow-up, so I wouldn't say that. We had our one-off at Christmas when everyone was out of town, and that was just a one-off. But last weekend we had our first, with characters we want to stick with for a while, we had our first little session.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, we were attacked by mercenaries on a YT freighter. It was bad. I almost died.
I know. See, I figure that if you don't almost die, that means you weren't trying enough things.
Exactly.
As a result, I die a lot.
I didn't even try that hard. I was like, okay, we're going to ambush them, and we were all behind cover, and I got spotted from a bad roll, and they just aced me. It was rough. It was rough, but it was a good time. Katie, I think, has finally found the first character in any of these playthroughs she actually gives a crap about. So that's very exciting, because we've never been able to crack what Katie geeks out about, what she wants to be. This isn't the type of game that comes naturally to her. So we were sitting there looking at playable races, and she just saw one, and her, like Kyle said, her eyes lit up, and she's like, "What's that? I want to be that." And I want to be obsessed with pod racing. My thing is, I want to build the best pod racer, and I will do anything. And I'm going to constantly be trying to pick up sponsors.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I actually had a situation like that where I was playing a character that I found kind of boring, and I'm like, okay, so we're done with this. I want him to die, but I don't want to just have him disappear. I want to have him actually die in game. So as a result, I just did the most ludicrous things. He was already a barbarian, so it was kind of right in that path anyway.
Okay.
But charge up to whatever I could, start whatever fights, and just go. And then all of a sudden it became weird, because that particular gameplay that I forced myself into to kill the character was the type that I actually really enjoyed. Because it turns out the thing that annoyed me the most is when we'd be getting to a decision point, and then everyone would want to sit back and debate and talk about it, and the flow of the game just dies. And so, I mean, some people would call me a jerk, and they'd probably be right. But in times like that, you can kind of bully the group forward by saying, you know what, I am charging into the room, so you're on initiative now.
Well, and that speaks right to, sort of the online or anti-online point I was making. One of the great things as a DM, knowing you succeeded, is when nobody's talking to you. And everyone has split off into mini conversations trying to figure out how to solve a puzzle or what you're going to do next or how you're going to punish the king of the evil land or something. And you can't get those moments in a voice chat because only one person can really talk at a time.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a very good point.
But I should probably run away. Thanks for everything, guys.
Thanks for the off-topic questions, Caleb.
Bye.
Oh, that was fun. I actually talked a bit about the role-playing on the Angry Nerd episode I put out about an hour ago. So
Nice.
there is that. Let's grab... Looks like Cheesy Bob is waiting in the wings. See if we can grab him. But yeah, I'm being super original, Kyle. I'm playing a human that is definitely not a cowboy in space.
But humans are always really fun. Hey,
Cheesy Bob. Oh, you're back in your awesome hanging chair.
Yes. The room I had booked for myself was being used by other people, and I don't think that it was really appropriate to say, hey, you can't use this room. I want to call and talk to a podcast. So I went outside, and it was raining a little bit and blowing into where I am, but it has actually stopped, so we're good for now.
Not so bad. We'll get some cool weather effects when the water starts to spray onto your camera lens.
That's a little teeny tiny dot there. So.
Oh, is there? Oh, I couldn't see it. The camera lenses on smartphones are so damn tiny, it probably doesn't actually...
I'm on my laptop now.
Oh, you're on your laptop. Okay.
I'm saying the little pinpoint thing is very small. So.
Yeah. So a dot of water would probably just encompass the entire thing.
Yep.
But anyway, sorry, I've been playing, as always, racing games, and I'm always like, weather effects on my screen, yay. So, anyways, what's up, man? I talked to you, this will be the second time this week, outside of After Show Games. You called into the Angry Chicken Patron Hangout.
Yep.
So what's up?
I want to criticize the way you sometimes talk about nerfs and buffs.
Okay.
So last week you were talking about the Zarya nerf where she got 1 damage taken off. So she went from 21 to 20 damage. And you were like, it's not a big deal, whatever. But the thing is, with like numbers tweaks, you really want to make sure you look at the percentages. And so 1 damage reduction was 4.7% damage change, which, if you want to talk about it, is kind of like being just a little over a level behind. But in some ways isn't completely factored because a level behind would also imply that everyone has 4% more health. And so it's just a little bit more than half a level of a nerf.
Certainly. And if they had done 1 damage off a Diablo, you can be sure that I would have been like, that's 4%. I would have attacked it.
But 1 damage off Diablo would have been like, like way less percentage because he does I don't know, let me look him up.
He does a lot more damage than... Well, Zarya does a decent amount of damage. I mean, when she came out, she didn't, and she was borderline useless. Then they buffed...
This damage is actually back to where it was before she got buffed.
That's interesting. That's a cool observation.
Her energy management is different now. She can keep energy a little bit easier.
And my point wasn't to compare Diablo and Zarya as to how they work or how damage would affect them. Just merely that I love Diablo and I am okay with Zarya being moved. And if, and we've been accused of this in the past too, we'll be like, Stitch's nerf. And I'm like, yes, forever. Never want to see that guy. Please don't hook me. And all the Stitch's players are like, what are you talking about? This is so detrimental. This ruins my gameplay. So you're absolutely right to call us out on this.
So Diablo's base damage is 105.
Right.
And so if you took 1 damage off that'd be a 1% change. That'd be less than a 1% change, and that's nothing.
Right. So a better comparison, obviously, is Tychus, because he has the same attack speed and a similar attack style.
Right. So that's just one thing where it's like, and I think this happened back when they were kind of fiddling around with Kerrigan, where when they buffed her, like one of her things was like it went from like a 20% damage boost to a 30% damage boost, and the reaction was like, well, why did that boost her win rate so much? And it's like, well, when you have a 20% damage boost to a 30% damage boost, that is a 50% increase in the effectiveness of that talent.
Very true. Yeah.
So that's something where I think it's sort of a feedback thing of like how when you're talking about changes, is sometimes percentages actually matter a lot more than the actual numbers a lot of the time.
To a certain degree, yes, but at the same time, though, it's because it's a larger percentage, because this number is smaller, does not necessarily make it a more or less impactful in my mind, because 21 damage is still relatively low and 20 damage is still relatively low.
Right, but Zarya attacks really fast, right? So it's, if you want to talk about World of Warcraft or Diablo or something, right. DPS matters more than the actual straight damage number.
Yes.
Right, and this damage reduction was basically a 4.7% reduction in her DPS. And
she's down 3% because of it, though I think she's actually down that number because of HGC and everyone going, Zarya's great, and blindly taking her unprepared folks like myself.
Would say the same, especially if you're getting your numbers from HOTS logs, because the people running that probably watch HGC.
Yeah, the people who are willing to upload, absolutely.
But that being said, no, it's a good point. It's fair criticism, and Kyle is on point to point out our own personal biases. We tend to get a little more concerned about heroes we play more frequently, and even if we don't play them frequently at the moment, if they were a love of ours in the past, we still get excited. Case in point, the Zagara changes that I mentioned yesterday.
Those were nice. It's nice to they haven't totally forgotten about her.
Yeah, she's up 2% as well, and there's a lot of abuse to be had there. Many people have forgotten their creep clears. A lot of newer heroes have very subpar creep clears. Very, and even having to use his Lion's Fang isn't that effective. So I think it's a good time to bring her back, and very much works into the global play style that I was tooting the horn of yesterday.
Right, my wife is trying out Zagara right now, and it's really interesting because I started, whenever she tries out a new hero, I will kind of give her a quick overview of it, and I was like, okay, I need to, not overload the info on this, because, Zagara, I'm like, okay, well, you gotta plan your creep, you gotta do these attacks on creep, and now Infestation is good when you're pushing, but it's not so good if you want to do, Denials. In that case, you want to take the Baneling talent, but...
It's super tough, and
then trying to explain how and when to use the Nidus Worm is really exciting, because I'm just get in your Nidus, go down to the bottom, and she's like, what? What's happening?
We were looking for another character for Team League for Kristen, because we wanted to do this sort of almost global, but certainly handle all the merc camps and then show up for the team fight. She's working on Sonya right now, which was an old favorite of her, but she started adding Illidan in, and she said, this is my first game with Illidan, and I knew that meant no comments allowed. She did not use evasion at all. I saw her die to a tower, and I'm in the living room just biting my tongue. And I did it, and I did great, and I pat myself on the back for it. If you don't learn it yourself, you're not going to remember anything, and you won't be proud of your discoveries, and you can't take that away from people.
Right. I think the hardest thing for me with her has been she's pretty good at Ariel, but will almost never use an ultimate. And I've realized that, and I'm and so now I'm sometimes queuing her to use it, and sometimes it'll get a little bit overwhelming, where I'm like, just hit it on the, they died. They died.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing I think you need to have a conversation not in the game, because you need to work on kind of their natural reaction to the game, because I think that's something you see a lot in new players, right? They're this thing, it's important, I don't even get it until later in the game, and I can only use it so many times because of the cooldown. You're worried about screwing it up, which is something in other MOBAs you're worried about doing with almost all of your abilities. But in Heroes of the Storm, it's pretty much just on the heroic, and I think it kind of amplifies that new player experience of wanting to get the most value you possibly can out of your powerful ability. So that's something I think.
For Ariel, it's not as big of a problem, because Crystal Aegis isn't that impactful, really.
Yeah, unless you know.
Because a lot of the time, it just makes someone die 3 seconds later.
Yeah, that's true, and you're right. And Ariel is a really tough hero because of Aegis and the way it works, and how you have to know every single interaction that's happening around you to actually use it effectively.
Right, but I mean, there have been a few times where I have been like, oh no, I'm in too deep, use it on me now, and then she uses it on me, and then the rest of the team comes and it works well. So
there's this great game mode that I originally played in Magic the Gathering on Steam, and all the recent editions have done this since I think 2014. There is a puzzle mode where you are presented with a board and you have to decide how you could win this in a single turn or a number of turns. And I know that someone's been putting these together for Hearthstone as well. Basically, how can you win this puzzles? And I think that would be a really cool tool. Take a screenshot, maybe let's say with Varian, and you have 5 targets. Who would you stun here? And let's say you have taunt too. So you got your stun, your taunt, and then a slow. You've got a good 4 seconds straight of lockdown, hard lockdown, and then a good 2 seconds of slow after that. Who would you use it on? That's not for you to answer because I didn't present all the characters. But,
right, use it on the right one.
Exactly. But is that for Varian? If you go Warbringer because you have the stun, you only block auto attack, so you should stun maybe the Spellcaster or the Brightwing because her CC is too powerful, and it'd be just one of those puzzles that could be very helpful. In a time like this, because I'm seeing a lot pumped into tanks.
The thing I'm starting to think of more is, and something that I've had luck with, I've only done a few Hero League games this season, and I hope to get more in. One of these days, I'm going to really just make concerted effort to play some every other day or something. But one thing that I had some real luck in was identifying an enemy hero who was kind of weak and not playing very well, and basically being like, we just need to shut them down, and it will just tilt their whole team because they'll have one person with 6 deaths.
That's really mean and very effective.
I was ETC, and there was a Jaina on their team who wasn't doing great, was overextending just a little bit, and basically I told my team, I'm going to go on that Jaina. I will mosh only that Jaina so we can kill her. And I think by the end of the game, she had 8 deaths. And I felt bad, but we won.
No, it's a very effective strategy. Pick the weakest target, the weakest link. I mean, that's what lions do, right? I mean, that's what the cheetahs, the wolves, everyone is doing out there. So why not take advantage of it? The one that never works for me are the guys who show up in chat and are like, hey, so-and-so's a troll, or so-and-so's easily tilted on the enemy team. Let's tilt them. They're usually good players who are easily tilted. And so they dive bomb this character, and they survive, and we end up over-investing and losing the game often because so-and-so said this was going to be GG easy.
Right. That's certainly, I think, it's something I'll never say it until it's obvious there is a link that can be hammered on.
Yeah.
Right, because it's just, because I mean, if you over-invest in going after, the pro on the enemy team or something like that, you might just lose because... Focus Morales.
Exactly. And then they learn what you're focusing. It's very easy for everyone to kind of in a counter targeting way target all their support onto one person, which is why, those weeks ago I got crushed by Sray because he showed up in that draft. Everyone was like, "Hey, it's Sray." Everyone supported.
That was painful to watch.
It was Morales and double tank and everything like that. Everyone just made a phalanx around him.
Now, if everyone could do that with just your damage dealers in general in all of your games, imagine how great the world would be.
Yeah, that's it's tough to trust, and we all want to be awesome. And
yeah, and I mean, I was saying, playing with my wife, her playing Ariel, it feels really, really great to play Vala when you have an Ariel that just sticks with you the entire time and keeps you healed, and then when you hit level 16, you just do insane amounts of damage because you get even more attack speed. It's really nice.
Yeah.
When you actually have some support, and I can just sit there and I'm just and I can just stay there and they'll start attacking me, and then I get heals and I'm good.
I do wonder if our support sort of meta game would be superior if this wasn't a Blizzard game, and same for tanking. I think there's a lot of World of Warcraft people or people who come from other more PvE areas that think every spell needs to save everybody, or tanking is about Muradin jumping in and lasting for 3 minutes. while they
Interesting.
kill Gruul.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never played WoW, so I can't really speak to that. But it is interesting to me how like the tank role kind of innately makes sense to me, and I'd never really, thought of it like I just need to last forever. But it's like this sort of, you need to be. I mean, the way I think of it is like you need to either secure kills with CC or make it so that. So it sort of depends on the different ones, but basically the idea is like you're protecting your backline, right? You're not absorbing damage, but you're making it so they either you're hard to get by, or if they try to get by you, they'll regret it.
Yeah. And that's the tough decision to make as tank in these situations. I'm seeing a lot of successful Valeeras going into the backline because the tank is so far forward. And those backline targets like Nova can be ignored because it's all burst and then she's going to run for it, but Valeera sticks around and makes real trouble for your guys. Even Sammy bails pretty quick if it's an unsuccessful engage, but Valeera will just stay on him, and sometimes that ETC is so busy up there thinking he's owning the match, then realizes he has no damage left alive.
Yeah, the stealthies in the game are always kind of throw the game for a loop, and the fact that there's a few that are good right now is like, what do I do when I'm trying to tank against that, right? Because I guess you just got to watch for the shimmer, but
yeah, you got to turn on your eyes and really just watch for. I mean, it's like minding your hook angles because Stitch has entered the game. It's just something you're going to have to put full effort into.
Yeah, and the thing that's scary about it too, though, is a little bit of that effort does fall on your other team, though, right? Because the amount of times I've been a tank, I've seen the shimmer, I've stopped moving forward, but my backline continues moving forward. It's happened quite a few times, and you can ping danger all you want, but I mean, at the end of the day, everyone should be paying attention to that shimmer. But definitely helps when the warrior.
Valeera is very well designed. Because if you catch the shimmer, if you knock her out of stealth, she's very exposed and is going to have to use a heroic to get herself out of there. And yeah, she may stealth and we may chase her for a while, but it's a big denial of what she's capable of.
Yeah, I have a harder time with Simuro and Valeera specifically because of the 1 second of non-revealing that she gets, that they get and also the new, because when the 1 second unrevealable, I don't know if the shimmer is even visible. Right, because...
No, it isn't. Yeah, no shimmer at all.
Yeah.
But you do get an unrevealable thingy. The words fly off them.
Yes.
Which is why I found Dahaka. Again, I'm already tooting his horn again, but great counter to Valeera. They go smoke bomb. You stand in the middle of it. You see those little words flying off. You get the stun. You land the tongue because you know exactly where she is, even though she's unrevealable because the unrevealable words are flying off her.
Yeah. Oh, that's gross. I never even really thought about that. That's nasty. It's very nasty. But yeah, Kyle, do you remember a time when Tassadar was like the only hero like this we had to worry about?
Oh, who could just disappear, straight up disappear? We didn't know if he was running forward or running back.
Exactly.
It's good to have options in the game.
It is. It is.
And I hope we don't get to such a granular level where this certain ability reveals unrevealable. That's dirty. I'd be okay with like Mass Dispel, though, because then you're just getting rid of all effects in an area. And if you hit the person in the area, good to go.
Yeah. So anyways, any closing thoughts, Bob?
I don't know. Percentages matter.
Definitely.
Fair enough.
And that's a great critique, and I will definitely be thinking about that in the future, particularly when we talk about lower damage people with high attack speeds.
We'll call it the Bob Clause.
Yes, there we go. Nice.
I'll take it. Oh, here's my last thought. Congrats on your Patreon numbers.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you. Actually, you're one of our flippin' crazy generous producers, so you're greatly behind those numbers.
But yeah, no, I'm excited for Kanata-sodes.
I'm very excited for Kanata-sodes. I enjoy talking to Jeff Kanata quite a bit, even about things that aren't Heroes of the Storm. So I'm glad he's going to be coming back, and we're getting close to Dunk Train already. So
that will also be fun.
I'm excited about that.
That'll be nice for the sort of, because recently there's been this sort of theme where it's sort of trying to decode the meta, and I think that he will help with that.
Definitely. He will be, when we reach the goal, I'm so excited because it'll be this great buildup of a month. We also have the Kanata-sode that will help build that up as we sort of, talk about the lower leagues again and focus on that, and then we can kind of bring all those questions, bigger themes around a Dunk Train. It's a really cool process that our conversation can have over the course of the month. And with a hero every 3 weeks, I mean, this show is good to go for a good long while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it writes itself. It's very nice. We thank Team One, even though I wouldn't mind a little more time between hero releases. But anyways, good luck, and may your Ariel use her heroic more often.
All right, have a good one.
See you, man. We actually got some questions in the comments section over on Patreon, Kyle.
Perfect.
Shall we pivot over to that? So Christopher wrote in. He's actually called in before, but he had two questions. He said, one, which esport is best to show people who are not into them, like your parents? He said at the moment he's considering Counter-Strike as it is pretty straightforward and the rounds are fairly short. Yeah, I think Counter-Strike's a great first esport, as a matter of fact.
Depends on the guns, right? That'd be the deal breaker for my parents.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it depends, I think, on the person. It was the point I was going to bring up, right? Like, yeah, I think Rocket League, like, more than any Rocket League or fighting games, I think, like, you instantly understand what the point is. You instantly understand what's going on and who the winner's going to be.
That's true.
You need nothing explained to you to enjoy it. But where personal taste comes in is someone like my dad would probably go, I've never shown my dad Rocket League, but I imagined if I did, he would go, Cars playing soccer? That's stupid.
And my parents would go, oh, it's all about shooting. And no, that's just my mother. It's just about shooting each other. That's violent.
Even when you're almost 30.
Yep.
Okay.
Even when I'm 30. Remember, this is the parents that on my 13th birthday said, okay, we think you're ready for GoldenEye. We know it has a teen rating.
Oh my!
And you've been playing it at all your friends' houses for the past 2 years, but here you are.
You were such a protected snowflake. It's ridiculous.
Yes, I was.
Every time you tell me a story from your childhood, it's a little cringeworthy. It's a little. it's so stereotypical. Like, man, I thought my parents were weird because for me, it was South Park. I wasn't allowed to watch South Park, even though, like you said, every time I would go over to a friend's house, you know what we did? We watched South Park.
Yeah.
So it was like pointless. It's like, oh, I've seen it.
Listen to that rap music.
Yeah, I've seen it. Also, the language used at the Catholic school you send me to is worse than South Park. And maybe we can just assume that I won't be running around calling everyone words I heard in that show, and just trust me to be a mature child. So, but that's hilarious. I love that. But my vote would be either a fighting game like Street Fighter, one with like a health bar. Smash Brothers is its own beast. It is not immediately apparent why you are winning or losing in Smash Brothers.
For me, I've had the best success with things that they can, on a classic level, relate to, like Heroes of the Dorm, because it's for scholarships. Yes. Or whatever the most Super Bowl-y thing you can think of. Let them know the money that's on the line. If veterans are involved, that gets my parents really excited.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think Dorm's good. Dorm is the esport that has gotten all of my family that are like younger, closer to my age, but traditional sports fans into esports. Yeah. I've told that story many times. That like I have my one cousin, Jake, who I grew up with. He's basically another brother, and he's just the biggest like sports stat dude you've ever met. He knows every school that every player ever went to, what scholarship they got to go to that school, what pick they were in the draft, and how much money they're making, and what their stats were last year. He knows all of that. He knows jack squat about esports. And one day he was flipping through ESPN, saw Heroes of the Dorm, and my phone started buzzing. Dude, what is this? Oh my God.
I think as video gamers, we all owe a collective thank you to fantasy football.
Mm-hmm.
Because fantasy football got my friends into Dungeons and Dragons because they're working stat sheets. It got them into just that base level of imagining something and the strategy of it got them into board games like Ravenloft or Arkham Horror or any of these co-op versus the board systems that are available right now.
Yeah. Mistaken Mishaps in the chat room mentions racing esports, which I gotta say, I like cars, I like racing. I thought racing esports would be dumb. I've been watching a little bit of professional Forza lately, and it's actually pretty exciting.
Do they use wheels and all?
Some do, yeah. Usually, yes, because the level of control you have on a joystick is nowhere near that of a wheel.
But it's not required.
No, but I don't know enough. I've been watching little bits here and there. I couldn't tell you what the standard is for professional or competitive racing games. I can just tell you I was more entertained than I thought I would be.
It's so easy for me to be like, why pretend to drive cars? I drive one every day. But then I think of like, but if it was a Mac, oh, how excited would I with all the foot pedals and all the levers and it's really easy to just go, well, different strokes.
Well, when it comes to cars, it's like, yes, I do drive a car every day. You know what I don't drive every day is a Ferrari. I don't drive a Ferrari every day. And even if I had one, I couldn't drive it like that without going to prison.
That's true.
So, but what's your vote, Kyle? We've been talking all around the bush, like or beating around the bush. What's your answer?
To the esport to show the folks,
the uninitiated.
I'd go with Heroes of the Dorm for Heroes. I'd go with the International if we're just going like straight, check this out, this is a thing, look at the numbers, oh my God.
Yeah. I would go Dorm for the older crowd because I think anyone who's around my parents' age will be able to get emotionally engaged in the Dorm storyline. I stick with Rocket League or Street Fighter or fighting game for just about anything else. It's a good catch-all, I think. But I don't think you're wrong with Counter-Strike either. Counter-Strike is very watchable, highly watchable, and the short rounds help that a lot.
It is, and the maps don't jar you when you're watching it for the first time.
No.
Which is kind of funny. You don't need an understanding of the game to enjoy watching Counter-Strike, whereas Heroes, I really do feel like if you don't know the Spider Queen and why the turn-ins matter, you lose a lot of value.
No, you're absolutely right. And also, Counter-Strike is bizarre. I find Counter-Strike bizarrely relaxing and bizarrely slow, almost. Like, I enjoy watching baseball. A lot of people find baseball boring. I like Counter-Strike because it kind of reminds me of baseball. It's like a few things happen, and a lot of the action can be very condensed and happen rather quickly, but there's a lot of kind of slow, methodical strategy in between.
Same with football for me. Like that, once you learn that the fun is not so much the game, but the people around it and the conversations in between a chess move, then you can start enjoying traditional sports.
Yes. Soccer,
though, is Heroes' equivalent. It's constantly going, it's back and forth, 20 minutes straight kind of moments.
I like Heroes because it's a good one to have beer and just start yelling at the TV during.
Yeah, and even though I know they're going to get killed out there in the HGC, I'm still just going, pick up your gems. Oh, the gems are at 70 and now they're all gone. Completely sane person, always, the analysis and yes, but you put esports on the TV and you got to scream at it a little bit.
Yeah. Anyway, his second question was, do you think there are too many updates in Heroes? The game changes so much week to week that it is almost impossible to keep up. New heroes are fun, but the time between them is too short at the moment. I certainly am feeling that a little bit right now. It's a little. I'm finding a little bit of issue in Heroes of the Storm. On like the complete opposite end of the pendulum from the issues I have with Hearthstone. Like
Right, you guys are
Hearthstone's not
vocal about
updated.
that.
Hearthstone's not updated nearly enough, and it's too slow to change. Heroes is the complete opposite, and it's almost it's still, I still see it as problematic, but for a completely opposite reason, which is like there's no time for anything to get figured out. There's no time for us to reach an equilibrium.
And that's why we talk about mechanics less than talent picks or what your personal hero is going to be for that day, and making sure that you're actually getting practice in there, because that's the consistent. I mean, on the flip side, I play Heroes of the Storm every day. I love it. I stream it. I do the show. Hearthstone, if I logged in, I play Hearthstone every single night, but it's only like 2 games with whatever the one deck is that I've crafted, because I'm entirely free to play player, and that's discount Rogue Jade right now for me. And if that changed every 2 weeks for me, I would very much be upset, because that's messing with my evening. That's my relaxing time.
Yeah.
Don't balance that out. It's the way it is.
Fair enough. I guess it depends on what the game is to you. And this is by no means me saying, like, this is killing the game for me. This is not me saying that because I believe heroes are coming out too quickly that I'm not excited as hell for Lucio. I'm very excited for Lucio. He's one of my favorite heroes in Overwatch. I'm so excited that we're getting a support in Heroes of the Storm. It's not killing that hype, but it's hurting the fun of my strategy, my outside of the game strategy that I like about games like this. I like being able to sit down with you, Kyle, and over the course of multiple weeks grow working on a single strategy, and there's just no time for that now.
Yeah, which is why I'm back on Raynor, because the world becomes a scary place and it's time for comfort picks. And I've also talked big game about getting possibly main on Valeera. I'd still like to, but Lucio's coming out now. Just on to the next thing.
Yeah. So, well, but yeah. So I don't know. For me, I think because if you're gonna throw shade, you should throw suggestions. Is how I feel.
Sure.
So, for me, I feel like a hero a month, I think, would be a nice pace at this point. There was definitely a time where there weren't enough heroes in the game. That time has passed. I think we have a healthy amount of heroes in the game. I don't necessarily think we have the most healthy mix of heroes. We have a lot of assassins, and a lot of them have come in recently. Let's get more warriors. Let's get more support. Let's get more specialists in there. Let's get a role update so I can have other things to say.
Well, how would you feel if it was scheduled around HGC and collectively there was a bye week? Because right now the bye weeks come and go for the different regions. Korea just started last night at 1 a.m. here in the Pacific Coast, and they've run now for, 12 hours straight, and they're going to be going another 8 hours here to do NA. What if there was just a week where everything was off, where everything came out, maybe 2 heroes at a time, but it hurried along the patches for the pro scene, because we are in another weekend of Old Tassadar. Next week is the first week we'll have Valeera, but what about that Friday patch? Is Sonya going to be ready next week, or does that take another week?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have an answer for you. I mean, I feel like in the concern of the developers, that's probably horrible. It's probably a nightmare scenario, right? Being told every X amount of months you have to have 2 heroes ready at this exact point. Blizzard has never done that. They've always been a company that develops things to the best of their abilities. They make it as good as they possibly can, and they release it when it's ready, not when there's an arbitrary date on a calendar.
The right way to do things.
Yeah, and I don't want them to lose that. That being said, feel free to just give yourselves a little more time. At this point is what I would say. Just relax a little bit. Let's relax. Let's let the meta breathe.
I agree.
So that's kind of that's my those are my parting thoughts. So that being said, I still want more supports, more specialists, and more warriors. So let's get to it. I think it's going to do it for the Patron call-in show there, Kyle. This was a good one. We had some good questions coming in. We got some great critique, I think, from Cheesy Bob.
Yeah.
Good questions in the comments from Christopher. And again, every time one of these announcements show up in the Patreon, patrons, if you cannot make the live show, we really do drop us some comments in there. We will read your questions aloud. And I love that too, because we have tech issues all the time. It's hard to get people in here to actually call in correctly. We're at the mercy of Skype. The comment sections never break, so keep them coming. Kyle, do you have anything to pimp before we call it a weekend?
I'm about to head over to twitch.tv/Kyle Fergusson to watch more HGC. So if you guys are doing the same, join me over there for some delightful conversation in esports, because it's going on right now. So let's go watch.
Awesome. I've got nothing particular to pimp other than if you enjoyed our pen and paper discussion earlier, I talked a little bit more about it on my solo show, The Angry Nerd. So go check that out. It's going to do it for this one. Good luck and have fun. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Take care.